and past chairman of the branch, senior professional colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, and today's and valuable resource persons, CA G.Ramakrishna garu, who is given opportunity to conduct with him this 100th CPE hour, sir. Really, it is a wonderful opportunity you have given us to celebrate 100th CPE hours with you. Really wonderful, sir. Thank you. So we are and very welcome to you, sir. Because 100 CPE hours means this for the gym porter. It's a very, very difficult thing, but that you occupied the good position that you, and you luckily that we got you this 100 CPE hour. Really wonderful, sir. And my dear professional colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome to you. A good evening to all of you, and welcome you to the 100 CPE hours. Really, I am very, very thankful with all your support. We could able to complete 100 CPE hours for the June quarter. So this because of your support and your encouragement, we could able to complete this 100 CPE hours. And I am very grateful to all of you. And please encourage further also in the coming year programs so that we could able to conduct many more programs, not only these programs, and we are also proposing a national conference that is also on the proposal that tentatively date fixed, but is not at fixed correctly, August 5th and 6th. So my dear friends, really I welcome you once again, this 100 CPE hours. So with all of you to conduct with this support that we can complete any task that courage and confidence you have given me. Really, I am very grateful and thankful to all of you, sir. My dear friends, as you know, this prohibition of this Benami transactions, because the act was passed in the 1988, and all you know, but even then, so many people, and still further, the Benami transactions are going on, and in spite of so many laws and amendments, these Benami transactions are occurring. Because in the 2016, there is an amendment regarding the Benami transactions. So these legal consequences of Benami transactions entered into prior to 1/11/2016, and legal consequences of Benami transactions entered on or after 1/11/16, and whether any bar in income tax department from inquiring who is the real owner of the property. So all these aspects to discuss and deliberate today with us, an eminent speaker, CA G.Ramakrishna garu with us. He is great, is with a lot of important 100 CPE hours. He has given this topic really to deliberate these issues, and I welcome you, Ramakrishna garu. Before going you for the deliberations, now I request Andhar Sridhar garu to introduce you to the August gathering.
Good evening, dear members, past chairman, respective elderly professionals, senior professionals. At the outset, I congratulate CAG Vasudevamurthy to complete successfully 100 CPE hours. With all your support and encouragement, we continue to seek your blessings, encouragement, and support to do more and more productive CPE hours to ensure quality service to the members of the Visakhapatnam branch. CA G.Ramakrishna, I'm proud to introduce CA Ramakrishna. He's a very close friend of mine. He's a chartered accountant with more than 2 decades of hardcore professional experience. and he hails from Hyderabad. He worked with several MNC firms such as BDO and others as senior manager and other roles. And he is now practicing as a senior partner with Messrs. SVR and Chartered Accountants. And he is mainly into corporate audits, taxation, and representation with various tax authorities, including tribunals. He appears before ITAT Hyderabad appeals and investigations regularly to represent the clients. He has worked in one of the reputed firms of India for about 13 years and traveled across India to conduct various large size corporate entities on various professional engagements, and later joined as a partner with SVRL and Co. He is a direct tax committee member of FTCCA, Federation of Telangana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and deliberated opinions on various income tax related topics pre and post budget discussions as well. He is also the faculty for MCS program of ICAI and participated in master's training program conducted in Delhi by ICAI. He has delivered a number of lectures on various professional topics at various professional forums such as Chamber of Commerce Industries and local trade forums and other CA study circle groups and professional forums. With these few words, I introduce C.A. Ramakrishna to the August Gallery. Over to the speaker, C.A. Ramakrishna. Floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sridhar. Thank you very much, Vasudeva sir. And at the outset, I congratulate Vizag branch for conducting 100th CPA hours programs. Yeah. So now let us discuss. Today, our topic is very important topic: Prohibition of Benami Property Transactions Act. This act is supposed to be read by all of us professional chartered accountants, whether we are into income tax practice or else any other practice, because this is a very important, and it is going to be occur deviation and attract transactions on and off. So before going into the actual topic, let us just try to understand how it has come. Benami is a Persian word that means something without a name. And the word Benami is used to refer a property or asset with no name attached to it. That means the actual owner is not the person who has legal title to the property. If we legally speak, person should acquire the property in his own name. And if he acquires in others' name, then that is called as Benami property. Actually, what is the motive behind this such transactions? See, I mean, actually, we are seeing a lot of transactions. Benami transactions are happening in India. The main motive is to evade taxes and to evade statutory norms, and sometimes to hide illegal money or illegitimate money. Also, people are tempted to go for Benami transactions. And sometimes we come across a lot of people who are planning to go for insolvency petition. First of all, they to mislead creditors or defraud creditors, they transfer their properties to their kith and kin or known relatives, so that at the time of declaration of filing an appeal before authorities, insolvency, so property will not be in their names. So to arrest all these transactions which are fraud intact, this act has come into picture. Originally, this act was enacted as Benami Transaction Prohibition Act in the year of 1988. Thou it says, state to acquire the Benami property and the person enter into Benami transactions shall be prosecuted, as there were only 9 sections were there, and there was no mechanism to implement this procedure, as rules were not framed. So it was like inoperative account, like what we call, if you open a bank account and there are no transactions are taking place, it is called as inoperative account or non-operative account. So all these 26 years, though the act was there, it was totally inoperative. And to get control over total operations Benami transactions, the government has enacted Benami transaction amended in the year 2016 on 1st November. We can just, instead of repealing the Benami Transactions Prohibition Act, they modified the section 1 itself, and they renamed it as Prohibition of Benami Property Transactions Act. We may get a doubt why the government has not repealed the old law and they have changed or amended existing law. See, as per Article 20 of the Constitution of India, laws can be made with retrospective effect, but any penal laws cannot be made with retrospective effect. So this new amended act has got new 63 sections, and rules, 10 rules are framed in that new amended act to get control over total operations and to punish any person who is involved in such Benami transactions. With this background, let us go back to the actual provisions of the Prohibition of Benami Property Transactions Act. So for your easy understanding, I wish to share the brief presentation on this topic. I hope it is audible to all. Yeah. First of all, the new amended act simply said, person should not enter into any Benami transaction. They have not said anything in detail. There's just any transaction, no person is supposed to enter into Benami transaction. And suppose if any person enters into such transactions, shall be punishable with an imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 years, or with a fine, or with both. And in this new amended act, they have added one more subclass, that if at all, if any transaction, Benami transaction takes place on and after the commencement of Benami Transactions Prohibition Amendment Act, notwithstanding anything contained in subsection 2, shall be punishable with the provisions as contained in chapter 7. Just for your quick understanding, I would like to just simply explain what chapter 7 consists of. Chapter 7 consists 53, section 54 and 55. Unlike earlier laws, earlier or principal act, in this new amended act, it is very rigorous and very draconian, we can say, because it says that if any person enters into Benami transactions, shall be punishable for a period at minimum 1 year up to 7 years. And one more point, the penalty also will be there by 25% of fair market value. And for your kind information, I wish to reiterate once again that if any person induces or motivates, abets any person to enter into such transaction, shall also be punishable with same terms. So, I mean, it is very difficult to escape from such things. And if any person, suppose person, Binamidar or beneficial owner takes our any person's name, is also subjected for proceedings. Section 3 says person. Let us just, if you just read what person includes. If you go back to section 231 of Income Tax Act, person says, person means all 7 classes, means individual, Hindu undivided family, a company, a firm, association of person, or body of individuals, whether incorporated or not, or artificial judicial person. And we know that local parties, local authorities can never enter into Benami transactions. Why this definition has got more importance whenever we discuss about Benami transactions. Person means it covers everyone. It covers everyone, and the transactions covers all transactions, and especially property. We generally presume that property means immovable property, land and buildings, as far as Benami transaction is concerned. But the amended act has got very wider meaning as far as Benami property is concerned. It consists of movable or immovable, tangible or intangible, corporeal or incorporeal, and includes rights, any legal document or instrument which consists of interest in the property, and also includes, suppose if any property is termed as a Benami property, for example, raw materials is a Benami property, and it is, suppose if it is converted into a finished goods, even in that case, finished goods shall be treated as gets a color of Benami property only. And in this new act, if at all, if these properties are converted into a money, let us say sale process have taken place and money generated money out of that sale process, and that will not avoid getting attracted to Benami, this law. So we have to be very cautious and see. I mean, we can, with this definition, we can say that everything under the sky are covered under Benami law and new act, PBPT new act. If we go back to the Principal Act, property Benami property transaction means a property transferred to one person for a consideration provided by another person. That is it. But in the new act, it has covered everything. It has covered a transaction or an arrangement. Arrangement means it is like an agreement entered with the persons entered with the person to for some activity or some transaction. Then even that arrangement is also covered under this act. One phrase we have to just highlight here: even property transferred to or is held by. See, I mean, actually here we may get a doubt whether a transaction taken place say 70s, 1970 or 1980, like that, whether those transactions get immunity from application of PBPT or not. My dear friends, even those cases also PBPT, Prohibition of Benami Property and Transactions Act, applies, because if those transactions taken place, but that particular Benami property still, if it is held by the person, it attracts this act. And also this transaction takes place, and that transaction is for the immediate or future benefit of, or direct or indirect, of the person who provides or pays the consideration. See, here provides means we may get doubt what is provides. See, for example, suppose if property is acquired, and say we borrowed from some persons money, that is not a Benami transaction. If you borrow from Mr. X, that is not at all a Benami transaction, because that is, we are recording it. But to acquire the Benami property, Mr. X has borrowed from Mr. X and given to Mr. Z, and the property is registered in the name of, say, Y. So in this case also Benami transaction covers. See, I mean, actually, if you look at the definition of the Benami property, a property is transferred or held by a person, and the consideration for such properties provided paid by another person for future or immediate benefit. If this definition cuts here, everything is covered under Benami transaction. So, government has come out with some exceptions to this Benami transaction definition. Suppose if a karta or a member of a Hindu undivided family holds the property for the benefit of any of the members or himself, then this is not called a Benami transaction, provided Hindu undivided family has to provide or pay consideration out of their known sources. And next exception is, see, I mean, actually, if any person holds this property in the capacity of fiduciary, then also it is not to be treated as Benami transaction. We just come across many times that a partner of a firm, partnership firm cannot buy or hold property in its name. Generally, it is registered in the name of managing partner, any of the member, or else sometimes a director of a company for ease of operations can be registered in his name. So all these are all called fiduciary capacity only. So this is an exception. And sometimes, I mean, many of us must have demat accounts. Who is the owner of the demat account? The operating agency, depository is called agent, is called is holding the owning the properties. In this case, also exempted. Next one is third one. Any person being an individual in the name of, suppose if that individual is paying consideration or providing consideration, and the property is registered in the name of spouse or in the name of any child, in that case also this Benami transaction will not retract. Earlier in the old Principal Act, the spouse was not there. It was only wife and unmarried daughter. But now we see women empowerment. I think many women chartered accountants are over here. So they're equally establishing in their profession and everything. So government has thought to remove wife and they replace with spouse and any child. Any child need not be unmarried child. It can be a child can be a son or a daughter, or child can be even married also. Even for 8 years parent, child can be 60 years. So that is also exempted if properties purchased or acquired in his name. And the main condition is out of the known sources. Means that should be justified. And fourth one, if any person acquires the property in his brother's name or sister's name or lineal ascendant or descendant name, then it is also exempted, provided he also should be joint owner of the property. Actually, here the fourth clause we may get a doubt, lineal descendant, especially in the case of lineal descendant and ascendant. Here, lineal descendant means already child is covered in 3. Lineal descendant in this clause means grandson, granddaughters are covered here. Why this clause is made important, got importance when the clause 3 is there? Friends, this is mostly applicable for, I don't know whether this is the appropriate platform to discuss, but I thought I should share my views without any hesitation. Generally, these kind of transactions takes place, registers properties in the name of brother or sisters, especially in the case of government employees. So to arrest such transactions, this class came into picture. And next exception is a transaction or an arrangement in respect of property carried out or made in a fictitious name. Suppose, actually, we need to have a more clarity how if property is registered in fictitious names, how are the department is going to get aware of this? See, nowadays search and seizures are taking place every now and then everywhere. So obviously, the beneficial owner or real owner possess those documents. So in those cases, generally properties are to avoid taxes are registered in the name of, say, driver, or else in the name of maid or his employees, and those original documents are kept with them only. This is covered in this class. And next transaction which attracts Benami transaction is a transaction or an arrangement in respect of property where the owner of the property is not aware of or denies knowledge of such property. Here I'll give an example. See, I mean, actually, in one of the cases, search has taken place. Everyone was questioned, and that in that house, a female were also there. So they were also their statement was recording the statement. So one lady was questioned whether she is the owner of the partnership firm, whether she is the shareholder of the company, or whether she is a director of the company, whether she gets some remuneration. And for those things, she simply says she is not aware of the property, whether she is a director or she is a holder, and she never knows that remuneration also is being paid to her. And after completion of that statement recorded, within 30 days, they got a notice from officers that why should show cause notice? Why should not? So those properties shall be treated as Benami properties. We may get a doubt, as she being the wife of that owner of that building, this is already exempted. And why should they cover as Benami property in this section? My dear friends, if you go back to previous class, there are four exceptions. Out of 4 exceptions, 3 exceptions is the amount invested or consideration paid is out of the known sources. Known sources. Please stress this point. So here in this case, Benami transaction clause subclass C, if the owner of the property is unable to justify that the sources for those investment are not out of legitimate or legal money, then that they are going for a task. And it is very difficult for them to substantiate show cause notice. But anyhow, they could able to justify that oral evidence is weaker than, or else documentary evidence is stronger than oral evidence. And they got all share certificates, partnership deed, remuneration, received bank receipts and all. But however, it is their duty to substantiate those investments are out of known sources. And next transaction which attracts Benami transaction is a person providing the concession is not traceable or fictitious. This is a very important clause, but that we all chartered accountants should be aware of, because we know that during demonetization, lots of money got credited in Jan Dhan accounts. From where they got funds, no one knows. And many people opened accounts in the name of drivers, their mates, their employees, and whatever was unaccounted money was there, deposited in that account, and to make it legitimate, or to take out new legitimate tender money. In this case, and this particular subclass D also attracts in the case of section 68 to 69D transactions, because friends, here we have to pay attention when this Benami Prohibition of Benami Property and Transactions Act and Income Tax Act coincides. Then it is very better to get attracted to the provisions of 68 and to 69D and get penalty of under section 115 BBE and get away from by paying 78%. Because if such transactions, if you are unable to, if the department questions and if you are unable to justify that these properties are ours only, and source of the funder is not traceable, then those provisions, that particular transaction attracts even Benami Transactions Act also. In that case, if it is attracts and we are liable to get confiscated the property, penalty will be 25%, and prosecution will be initiated, and those persons will have to be imprisoned for a term minimum 1 year to 7 years. So I think we all are going to take care of while applying the income tax provisions along with Benami transactions. Friends, we have to be more cautious while applying these transactions. And while defining Benami transaction, there is an exception given by the department or government. Suppose if any agreement is entered and registration is not done and consideration is paid, and stamp duty and registration of that agreement is entered, in such case, though the property legally not transferred from transferor to transferee, then also it is got an exception. But the thing is, 3 conditions have to be satisfied: that consideration has to be paid, and stamp duty on that particular agreement has to be paid, and that agreement has to be registered. However, the ownership lies with still transferor only. But it is a very difficult in this case because once all this done, it is easy to go for sale deed instead of agreement of sale. So I think, and suppose if this point we have to be very cautious while suggesting our clients whenever we go for agreement of sale, because if those agreement of sale is not registered and stamp duty has not been paid, obviously it may attract PBPT Act. And just one more point I wanted to discuss with you, in movable property. Generally, what happens whenever we buy a vehicle, suppose if we have already one more vehicle, and we may get tempted to register in our driver's name or someone else's name, so that we can avoid additional registration duty. Friends, in that case, suppose if anyone catches that particular attempt, definitely it is going to be treated as a Benami transaction and Benami property only. Yeah, this chapter 7 consists of 53, 54, and 55. 53 we have covered already while discussing the section 3, subsection 3. And here, any person who is required to furnish information under this act, this is a very important point. If we are unknowingly knowingly if we are giving any false information, then in that case, we are liable for imprisoned for a minimum term of 6 months to 5 years. And we are also liable for penalty of 10% on fair market value of the property. So whenever we are giving information, we should ensure that whatever known to us, we are giving it to sharing with the concerned authorities of the government. However, suppose if we could able to substantiate or justify that we whatever the information we have given is out of good faith, in that case we can just get excused from application of section 54 penalties. However, it is very difficult for us to justify in these cases. Yeah. I'll just give an example. One case. There were two brothers. Instead of reading this section, I thought just we can give an example. There were two brothers, brother A and brother B. Brother A works in some government organization. Brother B works in a private organization. So what happens? Brother A has purchased a property in the name of brother B. And after 30 years, after 30-40 years, he passed away. Then brother A's children claimed that the property enjoying by brother B is actually their property and it has to be returned back. Friends, here we have to please understand that beneficial owner or real owner can never claim that the property is his own property. Even if it is claimed, it is not defendable in any court of law. So brother A's children cannot claim that property as their property, and brother B can definitely enjoy the property. But definitely in that case, this Prohibition of Benami Property Transaction Act attracts or may be initiated by the government officer, because this Prohibition of Benami Property Transaction Act is equally applicable on legal heirs also. Authorized legal heirs are their children also equally applicable. So if they tries to claim that property, definitely there is a possibility of attract of these provisions and they may end up in payment of penalties and get imprisoned also is possible. And however, still it is in litigation that how come children or legal representatives are liable for these penalties and all. So just we are waiting to get more clarity on this particular provision. But there's an exception to same claiming the property or defending property in the name of some other persons. There's an exception in case of co-partner of Hindu undivided family and is a trustee or fiduciary capacity. In those cases, definitely those persons can claim the property of owned by those persons or members as Hindu belongs to their their entity. If any property is found, Benami transaction, Benami property is found, is liable to be confiscated by the central government. If you go back to previous law, previous Principal Act, there was no clarity. There was no clarity on who has to take possession of the properties, and the procedure was not there. But whereas in this case, in the new act, it is clearly mentioned that central government has got power to confiscate the property defined as a under Benami transaction. Here, one more transaction, one more incident take place. Suppose Benamidar is a very honest person and a very good person. He held the property for some time and he wanted to retransfer to his owner as a loyal Benamidar. In that case, also it is to be treated as null and void. Means this not allowed to transfer the property back to the real or beneficial owner. So we can get a doubt, how are you going to unplug this transaction as a Benami transaction, retransfer to a beneficial owner. My dear friends, here this is very easy to identify such transactions because the consideration is not going to be paid on such transactions. Suppose property building is owned in the name of, say, driver. Out of funds provided by his employer, and after a certain period of time, when employer or his boss thinks that everything is got settled down, he wanted to retransfer the property back to the owner. As the consideration is going to be zero, definitely that particular process shall be treated as null and void. However, the government has given exception to this one because they wanted to encourage income disclosure, voluntary disclosure of income scheme. In 2016, they have notified. They have given exemption for these transactions. If at all, if any beneficial owner wanted to retransfer their property in their name, it can be done within the period as specified by the government. Means within the period, the voluntary disclosure income scheme was allowed. See, I mean, actually, composition of the authorities under PPPT is very less, very less, and the main appellate tribunal and adjudicate authority is in Delhi, but they can take help of support of almost all government officers. We can say they can take assistance from income tax authorities, customs, central excise, or stock exchange officers, RBI officers, FEMA officers, and SEBI officers, and any other body corporate or which is controlled by central government or state government. That means the act is very effective. My dear friends, this is going to be very effective. We know why it has been enacted on 1st November 2016. They were aware that they are going to declare demonetization on 8th November. So to get catch hold of any Benami transactions 1 week prior to announcement of demonetization, they came out with this amendment. So that means it is very much possible that any transactions, see, suppose, for example, I was just referring to section 68 to 69D. Some transactions may get credited to our account. Now, so far, income tax officers treating that as unexplained credit or unexplained investment, unexplained expenditure, and they're very good. They're very good that they're treating only our income, and in fact, they can definitely possibility cannot be ruled out that they can treat those transactions as Benami transactions, and it is very difficult for us to justify in those transactions. So be cautious while handling or dealing with the transactions which attracts section 68 to 69D of Income Tax Act, and they have got enough team to take control over such Benami transactions across India. They can take help of any department. So we have to be very cautious in these cases. And here I would like to discuss one point. Suppose if property is registered, termed as a Benami property, and thus property is being sold to unknown person, outsider, for valid consideration, means full consideration. In those cases, that particular buyer will get immunity from application of a Benami property. That means he is going to be very safe, even if property is ranked as a Benami property. But however, suppose if the government or initiating officer initiated notice, show cause notice under section 24(1) of PPPT Act, in that case, he will not get immunity from cancelling that transaction as null and void. So we have to be very cautious whenever we are going to buy big properties. We can guide our clients that to ensure that the property is, for those properties, show cause notice under section 24(1) of PPPT Act as not received. So it is, actually we know that from where we are going to get awareness or information whether those particular property is got a notice under section 24 or not. See, friends, actually there are suggestions for disclosure of these such transactions. However, suppose if property is purchased in Nizamabad, let's say in Nizamabad property is purchased, we can approach the local jurisdictional officer and inquire whether that particular assessee has got notice under section 24 or not. So that is enough. Otherwise, to ensure and we can proceed ahead. But same in the case of, suppose if any property is confiscated or order is passed under section 27(2), let us say. So here in those cases, there's a clear clarity on those transactions which are declared as Benami transactions and confiscated. In confiscation of and vesting of property, Rule 6 clearly mentions when the property, there is a decree is passed and about to confiscate, and the property is immovable property, they are going to affix on prominent place of that immovable property. Suppose if it is a movable property, then they are going to approach register of motor vehicles and notify those properties that those properties are Benami transactions. And also suggested as in Rule 6 that there can be some publicity to by hitting a drums kind of things. So these measures are taken place as far as confiscation is completed. But when the notice is served, so these can be when actually it is better if this rule is applicable even for notices issued under section 24(1). But why the government might have decided not to take those measures could be the reason is unless otherwise proved, unless otherwise proved, we cannot justify that particular person or transaction as a Benami transaction or Benami property. I mean, actually, there are a lot of assessment procedures are there. I don't think these are required. So that is the reason why just I'm focusing on only main provisions of Benami Act, so that we can get familiarity with the Act. And whenever we are entering into any transactions with whenever our clients are approaching us, we have to just scrutinize those transactions, and we can guide them whether those transactions attracts Benami prohibition of Benami property and Property Transactions Act or not. Yeah, if anyone has got doubts, can please ask so that we can clarify those doubts.
Members, are you having do you want any clarification or require?
RK?
Yeah.
There is a doubt in the chat box. Somebody, some CHBV, to whom Benami transactions to be reported?
To whom Benami transactions to be reported? Yeah. See, I mean, actually, there is a provision. suppose if any Benami transaction takes place, initiating officer has to initiate. And if he gets a doubt that, section 23 says, initiating officer, after obtaining prior approval of the approving authority, shall only can initiate these transactions. But in case, suppose if any notice is issued under section 24(1), the prior approval is not required of approving authority. See, actually, Sridhar will just give many examples how and where and when these Benami transaction takes place are reported. See, this happens only with close relatives, close associates, whom we sail long for a long term, and sometimes, or if they are not in a good terms, definitely they are going to get, they are, as already they are aware of the information, they are going to report it to the initiating officers. And here, initiating officers are notified in Hyderabad, not less than position of rank of assistant commissioner and deputy commissioners.
So you mean to say the Benami transactions will be action will be taken only upon identification by the respective officers, or is it pursuant to a complaint from any anonymous, like any anybody?
They can take on their own, but for that they need to get approval from approving authority. Those transactions, then only they can initiate those things. And if they get any complaint from persons, definitely they can initiate. And one thing, please let us be cautious. Once initiated means it is going to be a very long process, and to get. But thing is, onus lies on the department, not on the aggrieved party. Always they can substantiate that particular transaction or properties, a Benami property. To substantiate, they have to furnish the information or proofs that those particular transaction or properties Benami.
In this case, if when the person is complaining against a particular individual who is in possession of Benami property, will the identify KYC details of the complaining person kept confidential, or he will be, his details will be made available to the Benami property holder?
Yeah, actually one question is from Bandaru Venkateshwarlu, sir. Who is the initiating officer in Andhra Pradesh? Assistant commissioner, not less than rank assistant commissioner, and deputy commissioner. It can be initiating officers in Andhra Pradesh.
Yeah, another question from same Bandaru Venkateshwarlu.
Yeah. In most of the government employees, they purchase building lands in Benami name. To whom it is to be reported? Yeah, we have to report to initiating officers and give a complaint that the property has got Benami property, but always onus lies on the department to justify that the disproportionate or else unjustified investments are made from unknown resources. See, generally, that is the reason why that clause definition 2 subsection 9D has come into picture. It covers even properties acquired in the name of brother or sister is also covered. So,
Sir, when this proceedings initiated, is it simultaneous to income tax proceedings or is it a standalone proceeding? Can you throw some
Yeah,
light?
it is. This law prevails over any other laws. This is the strongest law. So both proceedings can be initiated simultaneously. Income tax as well as PBBT Act also.
So one more question is, normally Benami Act, I think it applies when my asset is registered in somebody else's name. But what about some
Yes.
asset? Suppose I have given 200 grams of gold to my friend and he has kept it in his locker.
Yeah. Can you just can it be? Can you be little clear?
No. Suppose I have given 200 grams gold to my friend to keep it in his for safekeep, to keep it in his bank locker. Okay. Did you get my?
Yeah. I got your doubt. I got your.
The asset is not recorded in anybody's name, neither in my name nor in his name. So
Yeah, I mean, actually, may I know whom I'm speaking to, please?
I'm Ravi Shankar.
Yeah, Ravi Shankar Garu here. Hi, hello. Here, in this particular transaction, you have taken help of your friend to keep it in a locker. That means if you just go back to the definition of Benami transaction, it clearly says for the immediate or future benefit of the person who is paying or providing the consideration. Here in this case, that is missing. So it cannot be treated as a Benami transaction.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Sir, in your, to my knowledge, I have not come across any proceedings under Benami Act till now. Did they arise from any income tax proceedings? I mean, do you have any experience to share from?
Yeah, sure. Actually, last year recently around many cases proceedings under PBBT Act as initiated. Same case in that case also. There were two co-brothers were there. They were sailing through very affectionately for almost 10, 15 years, around 20 years. Once, after some time, that NRI co-brother has become very rich, very rich. He used to send money, and they co-brother in India used to buy properties in Andhra Pradesh areas some time ago. After in the name of their actually, I don't know whether to discuss or not, but I used to buy in the their names like that. But all of a sudden, what happened? There was some miscommunication took place between those two co-brothers, and the person in India has initiated and complained that these particular properties are purchased out of the consideration received from the person in out of India, and properties are purchased in the name of persons in India who has no legal financial support financial to substantiate that concession paid from their sources. So it is still in case is still pending. See, it is very difficult to prove that those transactions are Benami transactions. But it is going to be, so far, I think Supreme Court decisions are very clear as far as apparent decisions are concerned. But such properties, such transactions, I think they have not passed any decree as of now. But suppose properties, and one more case I would like to share in this forum. There are two brothers in one of the Hindu undivided family. Say, let's say again A and B. A has purchased property in the name of B. Afterwards, after say 10 years or 15 years, A has claimed that the property purchased in the name of B is his own, from his own resources, and so they are being falls in the same Hindu undivided family, so they get protected, and the property has to be retransferred to Mr. A. Here, the government authority has declined and disagreed that the property has to be purchased maybe in the name of any of the members or co-partner or any of the members, but the source or invest amount funds should be paid by Hindu undivided family, not by member of the HUF. So that was the decree as given in the recent one of the cases.
Sir, is there a possibility that in every case of unexplained investment in income tax proceedings, can the assisting officer refer the case for further inquiry to the to the Benami, to those designated with the Benami, administration of Benami Act, to find out the source and to, if possible, to treat him as a Benamidar?
Actually, in this particular case, generally class D applies because property is sitting in our.
Did I explain my question properly?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Sir, please answer.
Yeah, question is clear, sir. Actually, what I'm saying, there is a possibility of the income tax officer to initiate proceedings under PBPT Act if he gets any doubt that these proceeds are amount created or from unknown resources, or else Benami transaction. Benami is a Benamidar. So there's a possibility. So that is the reason why I'm just very cautious. Requesting everyone to be very cautious. And the thing is, when income tax officers are not focusing those transactions from PPPT Act point of view. So that could be the reason they are not initiating. But definitely, I'm sure it is difficult for us to protect if they get initiation under PBPT Act for all those credits.
Sir, here the child includes illegitimate child also, no?
Yes. Actually, just I forgot to give a clarity on that. Child includes adopted child, legitimate child, illegitimate child. Everyone includes in those cases, because.
Is there any planning tips in this respect?
Sorry.
Any other planning tips in Benami Transaction Act?
Planning.
To be careful in future.
See, actually, we can plan under Income Tax Act, but we cannot plan under PBPT Act.
But I think Ahuja, somebody told me last time that suppose Benami is holding 1% share in a total land property, and that 99% is having this thing, it can't be taken as Benami.
Your point is
that is
valid point, Sharma Garu. Thing is, why the government is insisting to hold at least some percentage of property whenever as a co-owner. Thing is, why we tempted to buy properties in others' name, to hide our name,
Yes.
and to get away from proceedings, income tax proceedings. If this is the case, obviously we are also under clutches, and it is if 1% holder can 99% holder can't justify, obviously it is very difficult for us to justify. Yes.
Second thing, the adjudication authority is same as far as FEMA.
Yeah, I mean, adjudicating.
FEMA and Benami is same, and adjudication authority is one and the same or different?
I mean, actually, mostly it is matching with the PMLA adjudicating authorities.
But both are different or same authorities?
Means I'm not getting your question clearly. Means
There is in FEMA also adjudication authority is there. Here Benami also adjudication authority there. Both are the same or just like income tax and wealth tax? Is it the same or there are two different adjudication authorities?
yeah, here it is totally different when compared to FEMA.
Sir, Benami Act is completely administered by Income Tax Department only. Sir. It is not by ED or any other department.
Yeah, mostly, I mean, income tax officers are initiating. I mean, actually, many cases here in Hyderabad, Benami transactions are taking place in the one of the floors of income tax building itself.
But as far as FEMA, it is adjudication authority is in Delhi only.
Yes, yes. Here also it is in Delhi.
There is only one adjudication authority that is there in Delhi.
Even in this case, adjudicating authority is in Delhi, and once initiating officer is ready with the show cause notice confirmation, he has to send it to adjudicating authority Delhi, and afterwards the next proceedings are going to take place only in Delhi. Yeah. Any other questions?
Members, any other questions? Please. Or you want any further clarification? Sir, proceed, sir.
Yeah. Power to call for information. The initiating officer or the approving authority or the adjudicator shall have the power to call any officer of the central government or state government or local authority who is responsible for registering and maintaining the books of account or other documents containing a record of any transaction. Here, why I am stressing on this point means even other departments, other officers and other departments are liable to furnish the information whenever the approving authority or adjudicating authority calls for the information. Suppose if he fails to furnish the information, he or the particular person is authority is liable for a penalty up to 25,000. Yeah, any questions you can please clarify. Can clarify, please let me know. Sir?
Members, any other questions are there? So, if there are any questions, means Ramakrishna sir wants to clarify your doubts or any, he will provide some more information or he will provide some clarification on this any issue.
Sir, in one of the cases, there are 4 partners in a firm.
Okay.
One of the partner has purchased a site in his name that it belongs to the firm, and all the partners will be having right over the site. Now that value of the site was increased. Now he says it is his property, not to belong to other partners.
No,
He's denying that his statement. There are no written statement between them.
Can you just voice is not
For
clear.
example, there are A, B, C, D partners in a firm.
Okay.
A has purchased a site, vacant site, in his name by taking amount from the firm, saying that it belongs to the firm and all the partners will be having right over that property. Now the value of the site was increased. So now he is denying that statement and saying that it is his property and none of the other partners are having right over that property.
No, it is not possible. It is not possible because funds are provided or paid by a partnership firm.
Yeah.
So he is only acting in a fiduciary capacity. So he cannot claim that property as his own property. And one more thing I wanted to give a clarity to you all. Suppose there is a property, say 10 crores, whereas the consideration is paid and 1 crore only. Whether balance 9 crores is tantamount to Benami or not. Here, law never says that the concession should be as per market value. It only says the concession is not paid. So 9 crores balance cannot be treated as a Benami property transaction. Actually, this law requires a lot of examples or questions from respected audience so that we can discuss in detail. Otherwise, this particular act is very dry act, and whatever we have points we have discussed, and other procedural part, I don't think we get some interest in this session. So I will be very happy if you just raise as many as questions as possible, so that we can clarify, and it is going to be benefit for all members over here.
Sir Ramakrishna, there is a question in the chat box, sir.
Yeah, is there any chance to raise?
To raise a wrong jurisdiction under PPBT Act, if it is really out of ambit of PPBT and which provision?
Sorry, question is there any chance to raise wrong jurisdiction under PPBT Act if it is really out of? Raise wrong. Murli garu, can you just explain to me this question? What it question?
Muralidhar garu.
Hello. Hello,
Yeah,
sir.
Murli garu. Yeah,
The
just
issue that assessing officer having jurisdiction should assess. Similarly, whether is there any jurisdiction or non-jurisdiction? That is the view.
Sir. Ramakrishna garu, this is like this, sir.
Is there any officers or no?
Samgara, he wants to explain.
Hello. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah, audible.
Sir. Ramakrishna garu, this is regarding this jurisdiction issue, sir. If it is really out of ambit of PBBT Act, then it cannot fall under that any of the provisions. Is there any provision which says we can prove that it is a wrong jurisdiction, like?
No. I mean, actually, jurisdiction, if it is wrong, it can be rectified. It has to be modified because jurisdiction is very when compared to the particular transaction, jurisdiction can be changed.
Okay. So, but like any provision which says about jurisdiction?
No.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Means jurisdiction means it should be within India.
Yeah, something like that. Some provisions should cover the same, no? So that's why.
No, it is covers to entire India. If you just read the definition, it covers entire India. Section 1, subsection 3.
Okay, sir. Right, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any more questions, members, please?
When actually, if question comes, then we can discuss in detail. Any practical questions also, please can ask.
Hello, sir. One question. So if we buy the property from the funds which are diverted from the company,
Yeah. Can you come again, please?
I have a company, sir. So from the revenue of the company, I have purchased the property, whether it is a Benami property or normal.
No, it is not. No, no, it is not. It is from known sources. From known sources, you are as a director in a fiduciary capacity or purchasing. So it is cannot be treated as a Benami transaction.
Okay.
Sir, small doubt, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, a property valued around 1 crore. We made a transaction and agreement as if we are going to purchase at 60 lakhs, which is sub-registered value.
Okay.
That 40 lakhs, can it be considered as like not 40? The entire thing, can it be considered as Benamidar?
I mean, actually, just now we have discussed.
Yeah, I missed that this thing. Can you just explain?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there is an exception. There is an exception to consider any property as sound of. Yeah, am I audible to you now? Yeah, there's an exception for such particular transaction. If agreement of sale is registered and concession is paid full 60 lakhs, I mean, we cannot say 1 crore, whatever agreed value as per the agreement, and registered, in that case, it cannot be treated as Benami transactions. However, once again, I'm reiterating that Benami Transaction Act never says the concession is sufficient concession. It only says full concession. It only says whether the property is registered in your name or not. If not, it is treated as Benami, and the benefits are derived from such property. And in your particular case, 40 lakhs cannot be treated as a Benami transaction.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just give one more clarification. I'll see. Suppose if you want to buy property in the name of, say, your parent, or if any of your clients approaches, they wanted to buy property from in the name of parent, or parent, yeah, mother or father. So in that case, how to avoid attracting the provisions of Benami law? Because if you are buying property in the name of mother or father, it is to be treated as Benami only, unless you are also a joint owner of that particular property. In such cases, it is very comfortable to just give a gift deed in the name of your parents, and you can just register property in their name instead of first buying the property and giving it to your parents. So this is one of the very important provision. I think a practical approach you can keep in mind whenever we come across such transactions.
Okay, sir. Right, sir. Thank you.
Friends, any more questions are there? Because you are dealing day in and day out.
Yeah, I mean, actually, sir, this one is very practical
Yes,
act,
sir.
sir. Very practical act, sir.
Yes,
I mean, actually, we come across a lot of issues, such issues, whether it is a Benami or not. So I think I have discussed some of the cases. Please let me know if any doubt or any practical issue that we come across.
Yeah, okay, one more thing. Like if the politicians are driving, running the vehicles of the vehicles which are registered in others' names, like a company who got the benefit because of certain acts of the politician, they gave a vehicle as a gift to the politician. The vehicle is in the name of the company.
Yeah, I mean,
can it be taken as a Benami?
And then actually, I just, if you stress your question, in that you said gift.
No, not gift. Actually, see, you are running a company, and I'm a politician. I give.
And actually, Sridhar, many cases it so happens that we get money from something, and we invest, buy a car in the name of driver or someone else, and property is used for our own purpose. These are all covered, attracts PBPT Act.
The action against such transactions will be taken against a complaint made by somebody, right?
Yeah.
Or the Department of Civil can initiate action.
So, department, if they are aware of the information, they can initiate the proceedings, and action shall be taken by under a PBPT Act against the beneficial owner, Benamidar, and if any person induces or encourages or advises such transaction, even on against that person also, proceeding will be initiated. So let us not advise. We have to be very cautious while advising. We are not going to advise anyway. But if anyone takes our name, that is going to be very difficult for us to defend in such instances.
When in the capacity of a chartered accountant, if you do not sign any document or we don't do any kind of undertaking or anything, but we behind the screen we have executed the entire transaction. In that case, how do we say, like, will it be?
See, it is us to prove that we are not involved in those transactions. Suppose we have to justify, but documentary evidence may take place much later than initiating the proceedings. So till then, we are going to face a lot of stress and pain.
So there is no threshold limit, right?
Yes. There is no threshold limit.
Considered as Benami. Can I, if I buy a bike in the name of my friend, can it be considered as a Benami worth rupees 50, 60,000 rupees?
Yes, there's no limit, monetary limit fixed in a Benami transaction. Each and every transaction can be treated as Benami. Suppose if bike is purchased in the name of your friend and you are using it, you are using it, obviously it is treated as Benami transactions, provided the proceeds are paid by you and registered in the name of your friend, and used by you. I think it is clear.
Oh, you mean to say even if you pay and the property is registered in X's name, who is a friend or relative, and we are using the vehicle or the asset,
No.
in that case,
When you come again, proper. Yeah, you are right. Even sham transaction. This is called a sham transactions. Lending a name.
Let us say for a moment, I have paid for a bike. Okay, I have bought a bike from my sources. A check has gone from my account to the vendor's account, but the vehicle is registered in my friend's name or a non-relative. Let us say, but the source is explained. I am claiming that I have paid the money, and I am able to explain the source. Will it still be considered a Benami?
Yeah, I mean, actually, there is a possibility of covering even sham transactions is there, and even lending name also is covered under this definition. Yeah, it is to be treated as a Benami transaction. If you just, I'll just quickly read out the provisions. It is, yeah, section Benamidar means a person or a fictitious person, as the case may be, in whose name Benami property is transferred or held, and includes a person who lends his name. In this particular case, he lends his name to get the vehicle movable property registered. So this is also called, he is a Benamidar and we are the beneficial owners. That means
so actually,
sham transactions also covered. I mean, actually here, I think we should ask a very important question, very sensitive point here. People, I mean, colleagues should raise. See, recently we are coming across a lot of GST frauds are taking place. GST frauds are taking place. Book entries means so book entries are purchase or sales are taking place. So those transactions are also covered as a Benami transaction, because transfer of profit is taking place and he's lending, our company is lending their name for these particular transactions.
let me give an example, like, for my better understanding. There are three companies: A Limited, B Limited, C Limited, three private limited companies. Okay, A private limited sold give invoice, some GST invoice to B private limited, and then B private limited to C private limited. Okay, only there is no actual physical movement of goods. Only the invoice, GST invoice, and then input credit is being taken. At one point of time, the invoice is being the amount is being paid. Okay, so in this such type of transactions also covered under Benami transaction. This
Yes,
act.
these are all called sham transactions, because actual they are lending their names. Means actual physical movement is not taking place. Transaction is not complete, and monetary transactions are complete only to get the benefit to A or B.
So what is property in this case? What is the property in this case?
Can you just
Like,
No, in Sridhar's question, it is just an accommodation arrangement.
Yeah.
A is raising an
yes,
invoice, B is raising
yeah,
an. So where is the property in this case? There is no property.
Sale
there is a property. No, let me just all these three companies are floated by one particular individual, and they are he is dealing in furniture, ready-made furnitures. Okay, so what he is doing is to show the turnover and the purchases to build up the records. He is selling from A to B and then B to C. Then from the C to the ultimate consumers, it is going out. Okay, in these three process, the physical movement between A, B, and is not happening. Only from the A to C only it is going. This is the background.
Yeah, Sridhar, in this state, in your particular case study, the property, Benami property is not furniture. I strongly believe that the Benami property in your case is cash or money. Because I mean, actually, even in case of GST laws, book entries means even movement is not there, entire monetary transaction takes place. Then I mean, generally, then only it is called fraud. Only book entries is not. Book entries is secondary, but monetary transaction takes place. So in your particular case, money sitting in your bank or getting transferred from A to B, B to C is property, Benami property.
Now, where is the Benami in this, sir? Because in that case, every bill to ship to transaction will result in a Benami transaction.
No, I mean actually here the benefit is lies with
The only fault, if I can say, committed by A and B is that they are building up their books by showing, by exaggerating the turnover. The same turnover is captured in the books of A, B, and C. That's right. Is it not? Sridhar, sir? The same turnover is
Yes, sir.
just to jack up the turnover and to get bigger loans from the bank to satisfy the bank.
Exactly.
So I think this is covered under some other act, but it cannot be brought into Benami Act because there is no underlying property here. Nobody is in continuous enjoyment of any property in this case.
No, property need not be particular mode. Here in this case, say 100 rupees, I have made one particular transaction and I transferred it, say, without any physical movement of thing for 200 rupees. And in this particular transaction, though the movement is not there, properties got transferred to A to B. Property means in this case is movable, which includes bullion, jewelry, and cash and cash equivalents. Here in this particular case is property is cash only. Nevertheless, we'll just again come back to you on this particular question. But as far as my understanding and as far as I discussed with our seniors, this also property in this particular case is cash and cash equivalents or bank transfers is property.
Sir, in the case of heredited property, among the legal heirs.
So can you just can you be a little louder, sir?
Okay.
Yeah, be louder.
In the case of heredited property, property heredited by the legal heirs, when joint legal heirs transfer it to one of the legal heirs to act on their behalf and do the further sale, dispose of the transaction property. So will it come under Benami?
Sir, here in your question, it is clearly said that it is on behalf of all, one person got a power of attorney and transfer. For convenience sake, it got transferred, and the benefit is enjoyed by all, sir. So it is not called treated as Benami transaction. And unfortunately, many power of attorney, see, many transactions are taking place, sir. Nowadays, especially in case of immovable properties, they are buying and transfers are taking place just with power of attorney. I strongly believe that all these power of attorneys, if not registered, are to be treated as Benami transactions.
Okay. So the moot point is like, okay, the power of attorney in favor of the person to act on our behalf, that should be registered.
No, in your first case, it is registered. It should be registered. But on behalf of family members, is doing so. That is cannot be treated as a Benami. But if X purchases from Y and without here their concession paid or provided, sir. Here in this particular first your case, concession is not there, sir.
Okay. Thank
So,
you, sir.
coming together for convenience, they are transferring, sir.
That's right.
Yeah, I will be very happy if you have any further questions, because if you just read, can explain.
Sir Ramakrishna sir, I have added the previous explanation that you have provided with regard to ABC Limited. So the
Voice
party
is
has committed 2 offenses instead of 1, right?
Yes, sir. Voice is not clear. Can you just?
Okay. Yes. Am I audible now, sir?
Yes, Srinivasra, okay.
Okay, okay. Thank you, sir. So my question relating to the previous example, Sridhar has explained, Sridhar Garu has explained regarding 3 companies like A Limited, B Limited, C Limited. In this case, as per your explanation, party has committed 2 offences. One is in GST because of book entry they made. There was no physical movement of goods. And second one is offence in PBPT Act. Is it right, sir?
Yeah, I mean, actually, as per, it is not clear to me, but lending of name comes into picture here. So actual physical transaction not taking place, and that means as per definition, sham transactions are also covered. So it should be treated as Benami transactions. Nevertheless, I'll come back with more clarity on this particular point.
Right, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, I am having a small doubt.
That's okay.
How to decide Benami transactions in case of unquoted shares?
Very good question, sir. I mean, actually, in case of unquoted shares, there's a formula. See, in case of unquoted shares, there's a formula applicable which applies. I can explain to you. Total assets plus plus any jewelry and book value of assets minus liabilities. In this liabilities multiplied by paid value. I mean, suppose if share value is 10 rupees and share capital is say 1 crore, 10 rupees divided by 1 crore. And there are some, it is generally total assets minus, we can say that we can do this way, share capital has to be deducted from total assets minus reserves and surpluses, and if any reserves are kept for any taxation provisions, those also should be deducted and divided by share capital into face value of the share.
In such cases, whether we have to take market value or book value of assets.
No, I mean, actually, sir, this is applicable where market value is not applicable. So it is unquoted shares, in case of unquoted shares. So when market value is applicable, obviously we can use those market value shares. And it says clearly, no, sir, fair market value of the assets. So if market value is available, then we can go with that particular price.
Because these unquoted share, because who will decide this fair market value? How to decide? Because this unquoted share.
Yeah. For unquoted, you're right, sir. For unquoted shares, the formula is there. So we have to apply this formula and derive the value of those shares. So any other questions?
So what is the time limit for initiating any inquiry?
Initiating
Inquiry, what is the time limit under Benami
30
Act?
days. 30 days.
No, like can it be like 10 years old case, or should the property be subsisting on the date of inquiry?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it is clearly mentioned. It is clearly mentioned that on the date of initiation, property should be held by that particular person against whom this PBBT is going to be initiated. Suppose if that particular property is sold and it is in other form, say sold and the cash has been received, and those proceeds also shall be treated as Benami property. Means once Benami property means always Benami property. So even if proceedings can be initiated against that bank proceeds.
No. Suppose I have purchased land in the name of X, okay, for 10 lakhs, and next year we sold it. 10 lakhs we sold it, and I have taken back the cash from him. He doesn't have the cash anymore. The person in whose name the land was held, he doesn't have the cash. The cash I have again taken back. So today, is it a Benami transaction? So last year I have purchased the land in the name of my friend,
Okay.
and yesterday we have sold it. Okay. So the cash we have received, I have again taken back from my friend. My friend doesn't have a penny with him. So in that case, is it a Benami transaction today? I mean, can an inquiry be initiated today?
Yes, it can be initiated. I mean, actually, you purchased for 10 lakhs rupees in your friends and sold it after 1 year for 20 lakhs, or say so 20 lakhs, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is. Even sale proceeds are received. Even in spite of that, it can be treated as a Benami transaction.
But the sources of investment is there.
No, but the cash has come back to me. There is no beneficial owner anymore. I had purchased it in the name of my friend.
Okay.
We have sold it this year, and I have again taken back the cash. My friend doesn't have the cash with him.
And the purpose behind
let us say it is to evade tax or whatever. I didn't want to show it in my name, so I have done it in his name. But the transaction is over. The transaction is not existing today.
That is what I am saying. Even if transaction is over, land is suppose till you sell that property, land is treated as a Benami property, and you sold that property. Sale proceeds are received back to you. Obviously, it continues to be Benami property. And earlier, land was a Benami, and now sale proceeds are gets color of a Benami transaction.
Because the sources of investment is there, why should it be treated as Benami transaction? Sources of investment is there. He has given that amount in his friend's name. He purchased the land. Now, after selling the land, he has repaid that amount.
Sources,
Source is here.
your question is very valid question. Source of investment is there. Say source is there and purchase in the name of Y. Purchase.
Yeah, because the original landowner doesn't want to sell the proper land to his name. So he bought in his friend's name and resold it.
Certainly this falls under Benami only, because property owner property is registered in the name of someone else other than the person who has paid or provided. Okay, so for the whose benefit it is this transaction taken place, the person who has paid the consideration. So here two conditions are attracted. First one is it is not registered in our name, and second condition is sale proceeds are paid by us and for our benefit. So we have to substantiate if any question comes. But apparent transaction, if we look at per se, it shall be treated as a Benami transaction, Benami property only.
Results.
Sir, any more questions are there, sir? Sir, Prakash Garu,
Hmm?
do you want to ask any question?
No, sir.
Prakash Garu.
I was expecting many questions because this is a very practical and we come across a lot of
Yes, sir. Practical oriented.
practical Hindu and divine family transactions.
సార్ కొన్ని కేసుల్లో ఏంటంటే ఫ్రెండ్స్ సిండికేట్ ఫామ్ అయ్యి 2 కోట్ల 3 కోట్ల ప్రాపర్టీ కొంటున్నారు. వన్ ఆఫ్ ది ఫ్రెండ్స్ ని అది డెవలప్ చేసి అమ్మేసి మళ్ళీ అమౌంట్ తీసుకున్నారు. ఫ్రెండ్స్ 45 ఫ్రెండ్స్ ఉంటారు. Because that huge amount has to be invested, one of the friends name they have purchased the property and after developing it and selling it, then they will be taking back that money. That
ఈ పర్టికులర్ కేసులో PBPT రాకపోవచ్చు, కానీ ఇన్కమ్ ట్యాక్స్ యాక్ట్ ప్రకారము we have to justify taxes, because ఇక్కడ ఏంటి అంటే ప్రాపర్టీస్ purchased by group syndicate, so for their benefit,
yes,
it is not for and registered in their own name or else group of people. So obviously it is definition is missing here, so it need not be treated as a Benami.
అదే చాలా కేసుల్లో మనీ బారో చేస్తారు, కొంటారు, అమ్ముతుంటారు, మళ్ళీ అమౌంట్ రీపే చేస్తుంటారు.
Sir, here
just like that.
Your point is very valid point, sir. Your question is money borrowed from someone else, and actually if it is cannot be treated as or justified the source of investment, obviously it is going to be treated as that particular person is Benami of someone else. Suppose
అఫీషియల్ గానే బారో చేస్తారు, అఫీషియల్ గానే కొంటారు.
Officially, if it is purchased and officially borrowed from someone else, so it is there is no question of any attracting the provisions of PBBT Act.
Yes, thank you.
Well,
Members, please, are you having any doubts? Still, if you are having any doubts, that you can ask. Otherwise, you will close this session.
Actually, many cases are coming up for trustees, trusts. Trustee, there is in case of trust, trustees are get registered in their name, but after some time, trust members changes and trustees get changes. No, so those cases it is going to be very problem to get back the or transfer it to someone else. So I think we have.
Sir, one last question, sir.
Yes, sir.
This is regarding when we prove the sources of the assets in income tax proceedings, sir.
Yeah.
Is that suffice the proceedings in the PBBT Act also?
Yeah, I mean, actually, if we can substantiate source, it is fine. But here, as per PBBT, registration or transaction should take place in someone else's name. That is first condition. Someone else. Suppose I have 10 crores money, 10 crores money now.
Yeah.
Legitimate money, tax-paid money, and I'm purchasing property in the name of Mr. X. Only just on record. But I'm going to enjoy. So it is treated as a Benami property only.
Okay.
But thing is, the main motive behind going for a Benami transaction is avoid any tax loss or to defraud creditors. So if no intentions are there, definitely they are not going to register those properties in someone else's name. So if no motive is there, obviously they're not going to register in someone else's name.
I just meant because they are known source of funding. So I thought like that. Okay.
No, it is justified, no. But
Yeah.
thing is, if it is registered in the other's name, so he is called as a Benami.
Yeah.
This particular entire transaction will cover as a Benami transaction only, because it is registered, but our benefit.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any more questions, sir? Sir Muralidhar garu, that as far as this income tax is concerned, section 3 and 4, if the sources are sufficient, that income tax there is no problem. But other than that, it will come under the BPPT Act, I think. So.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
Whatever
sir.
called in income tax proceedings, that might not affect PBBT
Yeah.
Act. The other things anyway
In my
Yeah.
opinion, it is like that.
goes further. Thank you.
కానీ ఒక విషయం అండి, కొనేటప్పుడు బాగానే ఉంటుంది, నీకోసం కొంటున్నా అంటాడు, రేపు నా వాల్యూ పెరిగింది అనుకోండి, ఇది నా మైన్ అంటాడు. ఆ రిస్క్ లేకుండా బెటర్ టు రిపోర్ట్ ద ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ Benami transaction.
I mean, actually, it happens in case of government employees. Generally, government employees always, we cannot say, I don't know whether this is a right platform, disproportionate money they buy in the name of someone else. So afterwards, even if they claim also, it is not going to be come back to them, because law prohibits for retransfer of those properties, and even beneficial owner cannot claim that that particular property belongs to him at a later date.
I think here, not only the government officers, so many politicians do.
Giving an example, sir. Yeah, you're right,
That
sir.
is there. And again, to curtail the black money, only this is the act they have brought into force, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the main motive behind making this act strong is to curb black money transaction and many illegitimate and illegal money also covered. Black money means on which tax is not paid. Illegitimate and illegal money, I think you are aware how we are going to generate those monies. So dirty money, we can say. To curb all those things, this has come up, and I'm sure, sir, if you are familiar with this small act, sir, this very small act, and if you are familiar with this act, even if whether we are into income tax practice or other practices, it is going to help us to facilitate our clients to not to make such any mistakes which attracts these provisions. Many unknowingly, many transactions we feel that if I buy properties in my own brother's name, what is the problem? Who is going to question me? But the department is going to question us. So, jagrataga undali. Actually, provision vachinanka, you have to be very cautious while initiating any transactions, especially in the names of brothers, sisters. Actually, definition is very precise, sir, as far as class D of section 2(9) is concerned, subsection 9 is concerned. It only says brother, sister, lineal, ascendant, and descendant. Descendant already covered. So grandchildren are there, and provided you should be joint owner. See, very particularly, when actually I've read many books, sir. It says the purpose of joint owner is to bring that real owner into the clutches of the law. Yes, sir.
Sir, your lot of clarifications you have given, sir. Lot of, and made the people, and they got a lot of benefit, and especially this 100th CPE. We once again thank you, sir Ramakrishna Garu, and your request, and really wonderful, sir. Now I request our Secretary Anil Banpasu to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, Chairman Garu. Very good evening to all the members of Visakhapatnam branch. In doing my pleasant honors of proposing the vote of thanks for today's evening session, where we conclude 100 hours of CPE programs conducted by the committee. I would like to thank the members of the branch for their support and in helping us achieve this target of 100 hours. And I would also like to thank the learned speaker of today's evening session, CA G.Ramakrishna Garu, for having presented such a complicated topic in such a lucid manner. And the session has been very lively, sir, with your interaction and the interaction of the participants of this session. We would like to thank you for having spared your valuable time and deliberated on the topic with us. We thank you very much, sir. Before I conclude, I would like to inform the members of the branch that on 1st of July, we are celebrating the CA Day. And as a part of those, the CA Day celebrations, we'll be having the walkathon at 6 a.m. from the branch. And at 9 o'clock, we'll be having the flag hoisting, followed by address by the members and felicitation to the senior chartered accountants. We also have a seminar which will be deliberated and presented by our learned and senior member, CA V.S. Murthy Garu, on the topic of onslaught of auditors, whether it is justified or not, and followed by the cultural activities from 5 p.m. I once again request all the members of the branch to come and participate along with their friends and families for the cultural events in the evening, as well as join us for the walkathon and the host of events that have been scheduled for the morning on CA Day. I thank you all, and good night to you all, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much giving an opportunity. And I wish all, one and all, a very happy CA day in advance. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.